Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from Madison Realty Capital, New York Community Bank, M&T Bank, AmTrust Title, Customers Bank, Ariel Property Advisors, Capital One Bank, Sterling National Bank, Marks Paneth LLP, Meridian Capital Group. Additional funding has been provided by grants from Amarant Bank, AVR Realty Company, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Briarwood Organization, B6 Real Estate Advisors, CBRE, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Mortgage Lending, Citizens Bank, Collins Building Services, CPEX Real Estate Services, Douglaston Development Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handro Properties Handler Real Estate Organization, Hodges Ward Elliott INC, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, John Catsimatidis Red Apple Group, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Matone Group, Newmark Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Group, RPW Group, SJP Properties, Stonehenge NYC, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Merringore Family Foundation, and these friends. It's really difficult to operate a business. It's difficult to operate a small business. It's difficult to operate a large business, especially in light of the government regulations, minimum wages, and other effects. Employees need to make money, but how do you apply these fact in running a business? So today I've assembled a group of business leaders to talk about how they see government regulations, what's effect it's had on its businesses, and where they see the future. My guests today include Morton Sloan, who is the principal at Morton Williams Supermarkets. Brad Honigfeld, the principal of the Briad organization, who owns hotels, fast food, and a variety of other restaurant business. Keith Cohn, who is the legendary owner of All Washes, the finest bakery and baked goods in New York City. And last but not least, my good friend John Catsimatidis, chairman of the Red Apple Group, which is Gristedes, D'Agostino, food stores, gas stations, and anything else. So we were talking before, how many minimum wage increases have you seen over the last couple of years?
3.
Before it was $11, so now $15 an hour. So 11 to 15 is more than a 20% increase over there. Your food prices haven't gone up. How do you pass this on, and how do we live with this?
Well, first let me correct your arithmetic. I apologize for it. When they imposed the 3-year increase in the minimum wage, it started at $9.25 an hour.
Okay.
So from $9.25 to $15 is 62%. Now, it's almost inconceivable that this could be allowed in America, that this could be imposed upon businesses in America. Labor unions never would have had the nerve to get more than 4, 5, 6% a year. But the governments of New York City and New York State have seen fit to make it 62% a year. In our case, that represents 5% of sales. So that for us to hold our own, be able to prosper, build new stores, pay people properly, we would have had to increase our selling prices by 5% to cover just the minimum wage. But there's more to it than that, because not only are the minimum wage people going up 62%, but many of our other employees who have been with us for years now resent the fact that if somebody starting right off the street starts at $15, they want raises as well. So this increase that we're talking about is much graver than it appears, and it represents our labor costs. But a lot of things that we buy, like delivery services, cleaning services, all their labor is affected. So those cost increases come to us as well. So when it's all over, it's a profound increase.
Right.
And our ability to deal with it was, to some extent, funded by the fact that our business had been healthy. And the marketplace allowed us to get some increases. But in the last couple of years, the competition that's come into New York in a fierce way, especially since Amazon bought Whole Foods, has put a tremendous downward pressure on pricing. So we're sort of in a vice. We can't raise our prices to cover the increases, and yet the increases keep coming our way.
Speaking of that, Keith, let's talk about your business and the fact that you happen to be in a Amazon 365 store.
Well, we went in there particularly because it was my ability to partner up with Whole Foods. This was prior to Amazon taking them over. 365 was their way of combating pricing, right? Have little bit less selection, lower pricing, hopefully higher volume. For my business, in January, we had to raise our prices 5% in order to combat this. I should really raise them more. But what we've been able to do is we've been able to hopefully mechanize a little bit more. I'm in the process of buying a piece of equipment to be able to stave off.
Now, the mechanizing of equipment, I think, really relates to Brad in certain ways, because you have how many Wendy's?
114. Started with one, and over the last, since 1994, we've acquired up to 114.
Okay, but isn't there the machinery right now to make different products?
It's ill-conceived, because there is a room for kiosks for millennials, but there's many more people that go to fast food that, even me, I don't want to go in and mess with the kiosk. I want to make my order and talk with someone, because you want to customize your thing. Listen, we're going through the worst time in my lifetime. I've gone from sad, being depressed, to being angry, to facing reality. Reality is you can't work on a 9%, 10% margin in the restaurant business and then pay principal, interest, and capital expenditures. There's nothing left. We started out, when I started the business, it was 19, 20%. We have had 10 million of minimum wage increases across the Bryad spectrum over the last 36 months. With no pricing increase. You can't, you have McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's, and everybody's still selling things for $1. And, these folks asked when we were in the room before, I was like, how do you do that? That's the problem. I'm seeing the margins drop like a bomb. And it's like, and I have a son, as you know, he's been on the show, and, it's a rude awakening in a family business, or any business that you see that you want to do it. And honestly, I think we're all stunned. And it's really within the last 18, 24 months.
You see, but we're not only talking about minimum wage, because when you have the minimum wages, you're paying workers' compensation on that.
Paying all the fringe on top of it. I mean,
it's actually $19 an hour.
I think it's closer to 20 because, there's something called the overtime. And I think all of us experience call-outs, and we have to get it covered. I don't think we have a lot of excess employees floating around.
But I think that's a way that many of the companies, probably including you, John, where you cut back, you reduce your labor force a little bit if you have the capability.
I mean, we've been trying to cut back. There's 3 minimum wages in the last 5 years, and it's we've already cut back to where we can't cut back anymore. Just about. We used to have all our stores. We own Gristini's and D'Agostino's, and we used to have all our stores open till midnight. And you just have to be more careful now, because there's no room for error. I mean, retail in New York City is hurting a great deal. This is my 50th year in retail in New York City, and I would say right now it's in the process of spiraling down because it's just between the rents, commercial rent tax on top of that in New York City, real estate taxes, workman's comp, unemployment. And the other problem that me and Morton Sloan have, then you have these food carts come and open it right in your front door. So, and these guys are paying no workman's comp, no unemployment, they're off the books, et cetera, and it's in front of our front door.
You know, the irony is at one time you were worried about the unions having an effect on you. The unions are easy today compared to the government regulations.
Michael, I want to correct you for a second. What we are facing is just another form of unionization, socialization, and it is an underlying thing. I give the unions a lot of credit. What they did is, when all the jobs got lost in the middle part of the country, they came after the next large amounts of people in our industry, the service workers business. The fight for $15 an hour, and I have to give them a lot of credit. They're really smart. The problem is, okay, that they've broken us, okay? It's
What
not
it sounds
worth it.
like is the small entrepreneur or even the medium entrepreneur is not expanding because there's no reason to expand.
There's no money.
Mort?
Well, we made the decision a couple of years ago to take on 2 new locations. They're still being built, and that's another story about doing business in New York City, which defies description. The cost of building a store has more than doubled in the last 7 or 8 years, and the delays and problems that we have with the government of New York City is beyond anything anybody ever would have dreamed of. But the manner in which we're going to deal with this problem, because we don't have other businesses to go in, this is our life, is not going to be good for the employees, because we've already started the process of reducing people's hours, eliminating overtime. People who were working 40 hours will now be working 35 hours, 32 hours. The next step is we'll start cutting back on the total number of employees we have. And that's in the area of labor. There are other steps we're taking, like self-help cash registers.
Right, so
One of our largest number of employees in our stores is cashiers. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cashiers.
that's what's happened with the pharmaceutical, the Duane Reade and the CVS's. CVS has more, automated cash registers than before.
Well, we're starting that now, and our first 2 stores will have that, and probably all our stores will have it. Then there's things we can do in other areas, like in our meat departments, that I'd rather not discuss, but we are planning major changes there to reduce the amount of labor that goes into the running of a supermarket.
Now, John, in addition to the supermarkets, you also own the quick shops at the gas stations.
Well,
what's
we have 400 convenience stores, but they stay away from New York City. We're in Western New York, Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, and I'm not sure, I haven't checked, that we might be exempt from that minimum wage up there. I'm not sure about that. But we're also doing business in Florida. And in Florida, the Democratic people call themselves pro-growth progressives. You don't mind pro-growth progressives because they try to do the right thing for everybody. But the problem in New York City and New York State right now is you don't have anybody that's a pro-business. And I think business people in general say, oh, gee, maybe it's time to give it up.
What about this proposed situation for vacation pay? I mean, I'm open to everybody earning a living. I'm open, but there's a question of how certain small businesses can't afford this type of fact. You have that pizza place, and I think John gives a good example. You have a pizza store that has 4 to 5 employees, and right across the street, they now have a food cart selling pizza. The food cart selling pizza is not paying the minimum wage, one. They're not paying the vacation wage. They're not paying the workers' compensation. It's a total different effect.
They are, some larger entity is setting them up and running it. And I've asked the Department of Investigations. I've asked everybody in law enforcement to check it out, and they haven't done so. It's somebody at a higher end that is running those food carts and eats carts.
I ask you a simple question. Let's go back 50 years ago. When you went into business 50 years ago, there were total different things. Is it worthwhile when you have so much regulations and so much additional charges and operation, the difficulties? It sounds like there's no reason for small businesses or medium businesses to continue to grow.
Michael, I agree 1,000%. You met my son. It's heart-wrenching, and my daughter, to see what we've gone through, even as a family, over the last 18 months, after the hard work and effort, development, building all these places, operating them all, the risk. Listen, no one's going to cry for us. We've had a good run. We have to reinvent ourselves. Thank God I'm in the hotel business. At least, it's Marriott and Hilton, and there's pricing power. But, the reality is, it's sad.
Relating to what Morton was talking about with regard to the self-registers over there. Look what's happened in many of the fast casual places today, in the coffee places. They only accept credit cards. They don't want to have this situation. They just want the swiping. So for a couple reasons, efficiency, speed. In addition, the cashier can't screw up by giving away change. So we've seen this automation over there. How many years are you in the bakery business now?
Well, most of my adult life, it's going on 25 years.
So how have you seen it? When you bought Oil Washes, before that you were an independent bakery.
Before I bought oil, I was working for someone,
right,
in wholesale capacity for 14 years. Cashless, there is a big advantage, right? There's no theft, and at the same time, your manager is not spending valuable time, at the bank making change. Where's my change? No change. All those things. But as you know, that's also up for debate. So whether or not it's legal to not accept cash.
Right, because if you have to remember, the person who doesn't have a credit card is the person who we're looking at the minimum wage. So now you're forcing that person to get a debit card or something like that.
But the argument was, if you take an Uber in the city, you can't pay cash. There's a lot of things that you can't do. Amazon doesn't take cash. So I think nowadays, people need to modernize the same way everyone has a cell phone.
I'd like to talk about the effect, two things that are very much on my mind. One is parking in New York. It has become absolutely impossible to make a delivery to our stores without getting a ticket.
Yeah.
We have some suppliers, like our main grocery supplier, who comes to us a number of times each week, that gets 2 tickets per delivery. Yeah. And this is an intolerable situation. Not only do they want us to pay for those things, but a lot of people just won't come into the city anymore. Between the cost of the bridges, the traffic, and this delivery problem. Every store we have has a meter maid stationed right in front of the store to just punish our suppliers. It's like a sick joke.
I'm one of them.
So that's one problem. The other thing I want to talk about is Amazon. Amazon has made a major entree into New York City, particularly into Manhattan. And they are burning down the pricing world through their Prime, through their Whole Foods division, and through all their other activities. And eventually, a lot of people will not be able to make it, and they will own the world. And I don't know if this is a model that the United States government, the city government, the state government really want to be the organizational stratagem of how we do business in America, where one company is so strong, so powerful, that nobody can deal with it.
What happened to Sears? You remember Sears? What happened to these companies?
How about Craftsman Tools?
Right. No. But
Woolworths, Grants.
But if you look at the
if
you look at the evolution of retail and you look at the world has its changed. One of the greatest things about working and living in the USA was you always had the opportunity to start a business.
Yes.
Okay? Today, the cost of opening up a store, okay? the operational expense, the construction expenses, you were saying, the permits, and all of these additional charges are having a major effect on an entrepreneur.
Here's the other thing that's happening. People's habits are changing as a result of what you just said with Whole Foods. They're sitting home more. They're ordering off of their PDAs. They don't have to leave, and they order in. And then in restaurants like we have, we lose a drink, okay? So we're seeing guest counts in normal restaurants eroding at a fairly alarming clip, okay? And the delivery services, they charge an additional amount. So in a franchise model where you're paying 9% to someone else, it just doesn't work. So it's all these different things. You have interest rates rising, you have minimum wage rising, no pricing, okay? And you have the perfect storm that's coming. That's
Mort was bringing up on the Upper West Side, or not even the Upper West Side, the number of restaurants that have closed. Okay, they've closed for all of the reasons that we're talking about. Okay, coupled with the fact that certain landlords don't mind keeping a space vacant for months. Okay, that's the circumstance. We were talking about some retail establishments or these cooperatives where if they have vacant space and it's owned by the co-op owners, these people are being hit directly. They're paying the monthly maintenance. The real estate taxes are paid no matter what. Insurance is paid, water is paid, fine electricity isn't, but it's operating an expense. So what can we do to change this? Because otherwise we're reaching a plateau. We're getting choked.
I mean, what's going on now, I think the politicians we have in New York are staying up nights trying to figure out how they're going to charge more taxes. We have all those bicycle lanes, so you can't get traffic around the city. So what do they come up with? Congestion pricing. They can't tax marijuana sales that are being sold by the gangs. So what do? They're legalizing marijuana so they can tax it. I mean, it's tax, tax, tax. You have very few politicians that have been business people that say, okay, if we have a problem, how can we figure out the problem versus just tax? And New York City, New York State is, number 49 or 50?
California, New York is out of control. Here's what the thing is. New Jersey, okay, is $8, $9 and it's going to spread, okay? And any logical politician would run on the same basis, okay? Then it's going to go to Pennsylvania, and then it's going to go to Ohio, because that's just the nature of the political, world that we live in. And they'd be stupid not to, because if New York is there, then New Jersey, then Pennsylvania, it just spreads, and even it will eventually get down to Florida, okay? Because at some point, that's what they can campaign on.
Well, in Florida, you had a governor, they ran for governor, this mayor from Tallahassee, that talked about, let's raise taxes. Who ever heard about that in Florida? I mean, Florida is a growth state. You're growing millions of people per year. And nobody ever heard of raising taxes in Florida, but this guy that wanted to be governor wanted to raise taxes.
That's why
he's not governor.
But I might add that one of the ways that, one of the additional problems that we have is that we compete not just with people like John's stores or other legitimately run organized companies, but we deal with hundreds of smaller businesses, some even multiple store groups that don't pay legitimately. They pay their employees part cash, part on the books, all off the books, nothing on the books. They don't pay overtime. They don't pay Social Security. They don't pay withholding taxes. They don't do anything. And the government leaves those people alone.
Right, that's the hidden economy.
That is a huge part of the economy of New York City.
That hidden economy.
That's our competition.
The underground economy.
The underground economy is there. And I'll give you the best example, and it's in Keith's business. You see all these food cart vendors, that's not being run by an operator. It's being run by a number of small little operators who have a variety of employees. You know the quality, but you don't have food carts with all washes of food on it.
But it's
But I'm not talking about peddlers. I'm talking about
No, I'm talking about
store
business,
owners,
right.
fairly large store owners, small stores, hundreds of thousands and thousands of stores that operate the way I just described. It's unfair. They can sell for less than we buy in many instances because of their labor practices.
Remember this. I started at Burger King when I was 13 years old, right? We need younger people in our restaurants, 14, 15 years old. They're in New York going to make $15 an hour. If they had segregated somehow, some way, to say, if you're supporting a household or you're doing this, but to pay someone who's 14, who's just out, whatever, the same that you're paying someone else there, it's irrational. And then you have this predictive scheduling, restrictive scheduling, where you have to post the schedules 2 weeks in advance. And if you change the schedules, you have to pay them a penalty. We had to had someone just monitor that. That was a full-time job. We're getting hit in every which way. And it's impossible to fight the government. It's sad.
Politicians that get on my radio show from Florida, you know what they're saying to New Yorkers? Come on down. And we're going to keep losing population in New York City, New York State, or replacing middle-class population with people that are not middle class.
You think about how many thousands and thousands of employees that the four of us have, plus the other business owners that are out there. I think we're shell-shocked.
I think we are shell-shocked. I'd like to thank Mort, Brad, Keith, and John, and I'll see you next week.